are live on a Wednesday. It's the 5th of March. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside my co-host Sarah Ellison and partner. Today marks, hard to believe, 1 week out from the start of NFL free agency, the beginning of the new league year, which is 4 p.m. Eastern on the 12th. And it's not like we're going to have to wait for things to happen up until that point, which is exactly what we'll start off discussing today. Hey, there's moves being made already, and Kansas City is right in the thick of it, and it begs the question, what are they setting up for? What are their moves? What are their priorities in the offseason from a front office perspective when you look at their offensive line? Joe Thuney is en route to Chicago. We'll have a conversation about that, a conversation about what the Ravens' priorities are when it comes to Ronnie Stanley and a number of things in between all of that. Aside from that, Derrick Henry got some pretty good news yesterday. The Ravens front office may not think so. And we'll take a look at Pittsburgh's current strategy and how that might match up going up against Lamar Jackson twice a year, and several other things in here, including, as promised, a revisit of Davante Adams, being that he was released yesterday. So lots to get to. Great to see you. Happy hump day.
Great to see you. Happy to get all into this. I love seeing the NFL starting to make moves. It just feels like, we had a little bit of the combine, but I'm ready for this free agency period to ramp up. But you want to know what else I'm ready for, Bobby? It's our new announcement today. That's what I'm ready for with our memberships platform on YouTube.
We have literally been hearing from our subscribers for what feels like months. I'm doing a screen share. There we are. You're getting two of us right now, guys.
It's our new announcement. Can you mute that?
Our subscribers. Can you? It feels like months. We'll do a quick little pause. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that was bad.
I thought my mute on my end would do it, so apologies there. But what I wanted to show you guys, what we wanted to show you guys, was something that we've been working on so far this week, and we've heard from you. Hey, what's a great way to support the channel, maybe outside of Patreon? What's a way to get more involved with the channel, right? And we did some research, and sure enough, it's through channel membership. So thank you, guys. Here's how you essentially, of course, now I have to go like this. Ready? So let's see. I'll switch accounts here.
Great content.
I got to pause that. So if you click the join tab, you'll notice that we have not only come up with 3 different tiers, but we decided to go ahead and make an executive business decision. We are now referring to you as Voltrons.
That's right. Done. It's done. It's done. We debated that it felt like all season, and we kind of let it sit for a minute, and we were like, you know what? We're just making a decision. This is it. We are officially, our audience, we will refer to as Voltrons. Done.
That's where we stand. We hope that you will fall in line. No, we hope that you'll.
All of them seem to like it here.
Cool. Yeah. We had a conversation about it, and then we thought to ourselves, if we do the poll at any given time, particularly in the off season where viewership can be up and down, as we all know, people like to check out for a little while, especially before free agency. We thought to ourselves, we're not going to get all 23,000 plus to vote.
Right.
And so we wanted it to be fair. We also wanted it to be something that was popular among you guys. This name has been popular amongst us as well. And so from this point
forward, we also wanted to be something that we would roll off our tongues and we don't feel dumb saying. Like, there were a few in there that I was like, I can't say Flocksmiths. And I didn't want to say Baltimoreans because I thought it would not come off my tongue well. Voltrons looks good. And that's why we have 3 levels of Voltrons. You join, you're a Voltron.
Well,
you can go to Voltron Plus or Super Voltron. Let's go.
Well, guess what? We already have 2 new members. Okay. We have 2 new members, our first member ever. And we're going to tell you about every single tier. And don't worry, we'll get into the content. We just want to share what it is that we've been working on. Sarah was up late working on some of the specifics related to these emojis. But JBmore56B, JB. So JBmore56B is our first member. Congratulations to JB. That's dope. And wasting no time whatsoever is Anwar Starwind, who becomes our second member.
Hey, Anwar, try to use one. Now, we were only allowed to put in 4 custom emojis. Once we get enough members, we can do more. But Anwar, can you use one of the 4 custom emojis we've got in there? Give it a try. Give it a try.
Very cool.
We'll get more into all the different perks for each one a little bit later. We just wanted to introduce it off the top.
Absolutely. So again, it starts at $4.99, goes up to $24.99. Moving forward, you're inside the vault, and you are a Voltron if you're inside this vault. So thank you guys for all the support along the way. We look forward to tweaking and tinkering as needed. But for right now, channel memberships are live, and we have 3 new members. Third coming in here is Matthew Yount. You guys will get shout outs throughout the way as you begin this journey. And we just wanted to say thank you because we know it's been on our docket for quite some time. To the content we go.
Anwar tried, but all it did was show like the name of it rather than the actual emoji. So we'll have to look into that.
We'll do. I'm sure there'll be a growing process here. I'm sure that we'll figure out. But where to begin today?
Okay, yeah. So right before we jumped on the show, there was some news, but let's back up a little bit. So as we know, yesterday was the deadline to use your franchise tag. There was really no chat about the Ravens using their franchise tag. But some people thought maybe that was a possibility in order to buy time to get Ronnie Stanley under contract because the Ravens were very were they were pretty clear that they felt like they were going to make it happen. They wouldn't say it was 100%. So a franchise tag was not used. Now, but some people are like, wait, is that going to be a problem? Somebody asked Jeff Zrebiak yesterday. He said, no, they weren't going to use a tag anyway. And by now, his agent, after being at the combine all week, will have a really good idea of his market, right? He's not supposed to be talking to other teams. That doesn't start until Monday. That's when the negotiating window opens, free agency officially on the 12th. But he says, I think if he gets to Monday, the Ravens are probably in trouble. Okay. And here's why. Sharks are going to be circling Ronnie Stanley. And here's one of them. The Kansas City Chiefs, it was announced earlier this morning by Ian Rappaport and others that the Bears are expected to trade for the Chiefs All-Pro guard, Joe Thuney. But Joe Thuney, they had to kick out to tackle last year because they had issues on the edges. So they went ahead and moved their All-Pro guard, who can also play tackle, to the Chicago Bears for, I believe it's a 4th-round pick. So on ESPN's Get Up, they heard that news live. And one Bart Scott, former Raven Bart Scott, he reacts to what this may mean for the Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs always play chess, not checkers. So this tells me they're maybe gearing up for Ronnie Stanley, be able to get the outstanding Baltimore Raven left tackle to make sure that the blind side of Patrick Mahomes is secure. They tag Trey Smith. So they have a plan. Maybe they see something, maybe some regression. This is a piece that they're moving out. They're moving out a year early, maybe not a year too late.
Okay, so he thinks they're playing checkers, not chess, and they're trying to move money to get a veteran tackle. And of course, if Ronnie Stanley reaches the market, he will be considered the top tackle on the entire market. And Bobby, he might be a top 3 free agent of anybody that's going to hit the field. Meanwhile, the Chiefs aren't the only ones that would like to have him. This tweet yesterday by Andrew, and I'm forgetting, I don't have his last name here, but he's a Patriots fan, but also kind of like a podcaster and reporter there. He says yesterday, Ronnie Stanley was not tagged before the franchise tag deadline. If I'm the Patriots, I'm sending him a lucrative offer the second the legal tampering period begins next Monday. A high-quality offensive tackle in the open market. You don't see that often, Andrew writes. So, Bobby, the Sharks are certainly circling, and the clock is ticking for the Ravens and Ronnie to strike a deal.
I think this says a couple things. One, it tells you a lot about the way left tackles are valued in today's NFL, obviously. Two, I think it's a great reminder, especially for those within the Ravens fan base that maybe only watch their team as closely as we cover this team, aside from the other 31, that, wow, Ronnie is a coveted player. And the way that he built himself back up and had a resurgence, not only is one of the main reasons why he's been targeted, but one of the main reasons why he is going to be paid handsomely. And so this is a 31-year-old player who is outside of his I think we can all say that he's outside of his peak performance, right? He's outside of his heyday. But still, 79 is going to be highly, highly sought after. And you're seeing that in the form of these, what we're referring to as sharks, aka teams that are left tackle needy and will be making a play after him, Sarah, if the Ravens don't.
Yeah, and some people are saying the Sharks can have him. Okay, well, listen, chat, listen, some Voltrons here. It's not easy to replace left tackles, and when you say he's past his heyday, that's true because he's older, and yet last year was his best year since 2019. He's had those injuries, and he finally overcame them. And Bobby, it is going to cost, where I thought I had it in here. It's probably going to cost, let me see if I got it, around $20 million, maybe a little bit more. Here we go. There it is right there. Spot Rack is predicting $20.7 million. Yesterday we saw from a few others that it could be anywhere between 20 and 23 million. There's a reason why these other teams are circling. The supply does not meet the demand. If the Ravens do not re-sign Ronnie Stanley, there will not be a better veteran available, period. Nobody that's available is anywhere close to what Ronnie Stanley can do. So that would put the Ravens in a position to be a little bit more desperate on draft day. And at number 27, with how deep things are right now, it's not looking like they're in the best position to find somebody. We can't assume that they're going to keep finding Roger Rosengardens. Now, again, they can move Roger over to the left. That would be a fine plan by me. But then you still would have that right tackle position. Here's what's interesting. If we do find ourselves looking at who might be available in the draft, Bobby, I saw this from Lance Zierlein, one of the, let me see if I can zoom in on this here. One of the guys over at NFL Network. You know how you can read the draft mock-up introductions to everybody, like on draft night, you can go ahead and look somebody up. It's usually Lance that is written up on them, written up on all these prospects. He has been there for sure. He projected the Ravens to trade up to number 24, so only 3 spots, to get the Oregon offensive tackle Josh Connerly Jr. So that might be something that they have to do, but you never know who's going to fall. You never know who's going to be there. So maybe the idea is go ahead and lock up Ronnie and then try to draft another tackle at the same time. But if you let Ronnie go, we know for a fact that there isn't going to be any better veterans out on the market. And then you leave it to chance when you're picking number 27 and the tackle position is not that deep in the draft.
The days of gambling, you're gambling every year at certain positions. That's just how it is in the NFL. But when you don't have to gamble at such a valuable position, such an impactful position that you know the safe bet would be to invest and continue to keep Ronnie a Raven in this win or go home, Super Bowl or bust phase of the Lamar era that we are living right now, I cannot imagine them embracing the alternative. It would be a big gamble. They gambled last year on the offensive line. Eric said that as much, paraphrasing, in what became a rebuild of the offensive line. And they took their lumps early. But now you just think about the bookend tackles, the stability that would come with a second-year player in Roger Rosengarten who showed such flashes of brilliance, right, of potential throughout his rookie year, so much so they turned to him as a starter just a few weeks in. And if Ronnie is to continue to build off of what he put forth in the resurgent season that was last year, I just don't know why you wouldn't want that type of stability going into such a massively pivotal year for the franchise.
Right, and obviously they do, right? That's what they said at the combine. Like they said that they want to re-sign him. They were feeling good. John Harbaugh's, we're probably going to keep him. Not going to say 100%, says Eric DaCosta, but we've got his agent here. We're going to be talking to him throughout the week. So they were speaking confidently. The time is not out. we're certainly in the fourth quarter, and we might be about a minute and a half left on the clock. And maybe the Ravens have momentum, and they're able to get this done. So let's hope that happens. But again, today's Wednesday. They got till Monday. Get it done before Monday. Today's Wednesday. Let's get it done.
Legal tampering begins at noon Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Then the new league year will be Wednesday, the 12th, 4 p.m. Eastern. So, to your point, time is still.
Is it my Wi-Fi or is it your Wi-Fi, Bobby? Because I know you're on vacation in Florida. Who's breaking up here? I think it might be Bobby. All right. We're going to shift gears here and take the other news that came down the pike yesterday. And that was this. This is where Derrick Henry is getting pretty good news straight from Adam Schefter and a few others who had broken this news. Eagles are rewarding Saquon Barkley with a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. And, oh, shoot, he took the slides with him. He had to leave, and it took the slides with him. Let's bring this back up. We got to talk to StreamYard, who we use to stream our shows. And when one person goes out and they brought in the slides, then when they leave, the videos, the slides, everything they brought in goes with them. And Bobby had brought those slides in, so I got it coming back in. They are processing right now. But yeah, Saquon Barkley becomes the highest paid running back now in NFL history. And it's by a lot. The deal makes Barkley the NFL's first $20 million plus per year running back. Barkley also has the ability to earn an additional $15 million in incentives and escalators. The deal includes $36 million fully guaranteed at signing. Okay. Now, I originally saw one James Cook, running back of the Buffalo Bills, quote retweet this news with those emoji eyes, being like, oh, I like where this market is going. Derrick Henry did not do such a thing, but I promise you he had a similar reaction privately, because he has talked about the idea of wanting the running back market to go back up. And so Saquon Barkley got himself a historic contract after a historic year. He rushed for over 2,000 yards. He won Offensive Player of the Year. He won a Super Bowl title. He won all those things. And by the way, Derrick Henry wasn't far behind. He had 1,900 yards. He made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. That certainly should have gone further as a team. So you can expect Derrick Henry is going to see a similar deal. Now remember, Derrick Henry and the Ravens are on the same page in terms of a long-term marriage. At the NFL Honors Award, Derrick Henry had said that he wants to finish his career in Baltimore. When Eric DeCosta was asked about that idea while he was at the Combine last week, the way he answered it is he said, well, we have a picture of Derrick going up on my office wall. So what does that tell you? Okay, Eric, it tells me that you and Derrick Henry are going to make a deal so that he can finish his career as a Baltimore Raven. And so let's remember that right now, the Ravens have had a bargain of a deal when it comes to Derrick Henry and what he's been paid versus what he has produced for the Ravens. Last year in free agency, he signed a 2-year, $16 million deal worth $8 million per year. Welcome back, Bobby. And so Joel Corey yesterday, after he sees this news for Saquon Barkley, he says, well, now Derrick Henry is extremely underpaid on that $16 million deal, getting only $8 million when you're touching the ball probably half the times, nearly half the time on offense, and you put up 1,900 yards and you put up as many touchdowns as he did. And let me tell you something, when Derrick Henry was on Micah Parsons' show during the Super Bowl, he talked about wanting to get that running back market up because he wants to be paid more.
Baltimore, man, I feel like they gave me like a rejuvenation, just being there, being around them, being around the organization. I love it from top to bottom. It's a first-class organization for sure.
Do you think y'all bring the market back up? Do y'all where's the running back market going now?
I hope it bring it back up, like you just said. Like you got guys, I think Saquon 2, I ran for 19. We definitely wanted to bring that spotlight back to the position, show our value, show how important our role is to a team. And speaking of Saquon having a hell of a year, so that don't show you, man. I don't know what else to say.
Respectfully, I'm not gonna lie. Y'all additions help transform teams.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
GMs, wake up. Let's get them running backs back in the market.
Wake up.
I always look at it as,
there we go. Yeah, man, clap. We need some clap, man. Clap for the RBs. We need some love. It was getting bad for us, bro. We was like kind of in the same market as the kickers.
oh wow.
The kickers getting the same. I'm like, oh man, come on now. Y'all doing us too bad.
Yeah,
no,
kicker is outrageous.
That's what I'm telling you, bro.
Top kicker market is around $7 million a year.
That's what I'm telling you. So we was in that same market. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
oh no.
That's actually disgusting that she put it like that. You gonna re-up the money like they did
Hopefully
Christian?
your boy be up or something. You
You gonna re-up that money? Your boy is up to something, Bobby. Is he gonna re-up to close to $20 million per year like Saquon? What say you?
Oh, whoa. I think Saquon may have just reset this whole thing, but not reset it for anybody but himself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've been thinking about this since this came down the timeline yesterday. And while obviously we've seen little pieces that lead you to believe the two sides, the Ravens and Derek, are at least having conversations about reaching an extension, I don't know if Saquon's, well, obviously it means it means a lot to the market, but I wonder if it means a lot to like more than a handful of running backs. You see what I mean by that? Like,
Yeah.
especially
Why would
because
it not? Why would it not help Derek? I know
oh,
what
for the
you're
king
saying.
for sure. No, sorry, for the king for sure.
Okay.
But to think that it's like a resetting for the entire position group, I think is probably hyperbolic, especially when you consider the fact that this running back class coming out of college is supposed to be one of the best in recent years. So, but this is big money, and he's worthy of every dollar for Philadelphia, obviously.
I'm really curious, Bobby. I'm really curious because, we were coming out of the season, and I remember we played that clip, closer to the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago. And it's like, yeah, of course, Derrick Henry deserves more. He's like $8 million per year. And then we went over and we looked at, what running backs were making. And really the top of the market was closer to like 12 to 15. I was like, okay, I could see the Ravens getting him closer to that like $12 million range. But 20? Now, of course, Saquon Barkley is 3 years younger, which means a lot in the NFL world. Like 1 year of a running back may feel like 7 years in real life, right? It's like a dog to humans kind of rule here. And so 1 year is a lot in the life of a running back. And yet Derrick Henry kind of showed that he was sipping from the fountain of youth. And it obviously helps that he had a career year in terms of yards per carry by playing next to Lamar Jackson. So we know they're going to re-up the money. But I just wonder if possibly they were getting close to something, right? Maybe in that 12, 13 kind of range. And then all of a sudden he's like, whoa, Saquon got 20?
Yeah.
What? And then could that have thrown a wrench in things? Because here we're talking about how Ronnie Stanley is going to be in the range of 20 million, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. But you're talking about him 20 million per year, and then Saquon comes in and gets 20 million per year. Like, what is gonna be the magic number?
Oh, and if you're Derek, right, it's like, yeah, I'm a little bit older than him, but right up until
1,900 yards, and he put
I was
up
gonna
2,000.
say,
Yeah,
like up until the waning weeks, we were neck and neck for the rushing title, and then Saquon obviously ran away with it. But Derek's got a lot of ground to stand on. So let me just be clear about what I said a minute ago. This absolutely means a pay bump, a payday, which was coming anyway for Derek.
Yeah.
But now it's
how
going to
much?
be more. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be more. We don't know by how much. What I really mean by that is what I meant by the comment of I don't know how much it means for the market itself is these two guys are in a category of their own, right? The guys that are below them, what? Josh Jacobs comes to mind. Several others.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey comes to mind, even though he's been banged up. And when you consider the fact that, again, it's supposed to be a deep running back class, and teams may want to just reset and rejuvenate through their draft capital with those types of assets, I do wonder what it means for outside, let's say, the top 3, top 4, top 5 big names at the position.
Let me pull this up here. Here are the top paid running backs per year according to Spot Rack, which isn't always exactly correct, but on these more minor things, they're usually in the ballpark. So let's see here. That's total guaranteed. Let's go over to contract average. So there's McCaffrey at 19. So once they put Saquon in the system, he'll be up here at number 1 at 20. Then there's McCaffrey. So maybe somebody like James Cook, who's younger, and now according to Bills fans, James Cook shouldn't be paid nothing. Okay, all I heard all year from Bills fans is that he was nothing and that Josh Allen carried the team, and you can't count at all what James Cook was doing. But James Cook had retweeted this news with those eye emojis. So I don't know. I don't know what this is. So watch this as I scroll down. Where is Derrick Henry all the way at number 11? So before this, Bobby, I was like, watch him get in that 12 million range right here, right? So now it's 20. I don't know. 12.5 maybe?
This will be fascinating.
It's going to be very fascinating. Here's what they have in this scenario that the Ravens and Ronnie Stanley don't have. Ronnie Stanley and the Ravens have like 4 days to figure it out. Derrick Henry's under contract for this year. They would probably like to get a deal done before the season starts, but they are not in a rush for Monday or Wednesday when the new league year. So maybe they go ahead and wait and see, okay, here's what Saquon got, but let's see what James Cook gets. Let's see what some of these other guys get and see if they're anywhere close to 20. And maybe that'll help them figure it out. They have time on their side between these two.
Definitely. You're not kidding, though. James Cook, along with the rest of us, was watching this closely yesterday, and he had to have been pretty fired up, as I'm sure Derek was.
Yeah.
Derek had to have been.
Oh, the way he was rubbing his hands together during that Micah Parsons last question, I guarantee he was doing that again with that Grinch grin that goes ear to ear, that evil grin like I'm about to get a bag when I'm 31.
You're dang right. Absolutely. Let's get to some super chats here. We appreciate you guys for being with us on this Wednesday, a week out from free agency. We've got over 2,000 concurrents joining us. So please like the video on your way in, subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell. Robbie Pate gets us started. EDC is going to have to open his wallet big time. Omni King.
Lamar needs to restructure his deal. And the Ravens need to make a decision on Andrews. Lamar needs to get an extension. Stop using restructure.
Omni must have missed the last 5 previous episodes when you so eloquently broke that down. Another one from Robbie. Are the Ravens going to pay Henry and Stanley?
Listen, I think that's where they're trending for sure. I think that's where they're trending. And listen, people call the Ravens cheap. They're not. Where they're especially not cheap is keeping their guys that have performed well for them. I think that's still where they're headed. It's going to be bad if they don't get Stanley. I shouldn't say bad, but it's not. You're leaving a lot up to chance if you can't get Stanley done.
We should also do one quick shout out here of our first 5 members. If you're just tuning into the show, right off the top, we announced that channel memberships here inside the vault are officially available to you. We also announced that we made an executive decision, and after much thought and consideration, we now refer to our audience members as Voltrons. So We thank you for all of your submissions. We thank you for all of your interest. We hope that you'll lean into it. I saw some in the live chat that wanted Vault Nation or Vault Insiders or Baltimoreans, but Sarah and I, we absolutely took a lot of your feedback into consideration. We had our own considerations, and so moving forward, Voltrons will now be your name, and you'll see there's 3 different Voltron tiers when you go and join. And if you're interested, go click on the join box wherever you might be watching us today, and you'll see the different tier levels that we have available to you. And many are already jumping on board. JB, Anwar, Matthew, Troy, and Nuno, our first 5 members here inside the vault. We appreciate you guys. And that now brings us to where are we headed next?
By the way, I like the way it looks, the members, the badge that they have.
Oh, it's clean.
So it's we use I don't know if many people have seen the logo of ours, the V inside the vault wheel, So like each year you go up, you get a different color with that V vault. So right now as a beginner, you're green, and then it kind of moves up and whatnot.
Look at Troy.
Yeah.
It's not even a super chat.
Yeah, but in the live chat it shows up as green because that's the way I have it for the first year.
Yep.
And then keep moving up with the different colors. It's pretty cool.
With his emoji attached. So appreciate you, Troy. Thanks for being on board. You guys can go learn more by clicking on that join feature.
Okay, so where are we headed next? We're going to talk AFC North quarterbacks. Okay, so let me see if I can move back here. Here we go. When Ian Rappaport was at the Combine, he had reported that the Steelers seem more likely to stick with Justin Fields than other options. I'll just let it play for itself. But here's where it sounds like where the Steelers are leaning right now on their quarterback front.
Direction they're going. Obviously, Russell Wilson was the starter last year. It was good until the end when it wasn't. He will at least have some sort of a market, but you're right. Justin Fields does seem to be at least the priority now. They do have an edge up on everyone. They can get a deal done right now. If they don't, I know at least a couple other teams who eye him.
Wouldn't it be the Jets?
The Jets make sense. There's a couple other teams who still need one. Titans still need a quarterback, whether or not they draft one. Justin Fields is going to have a market. It's just, do the Steelers get in right now and try to stop his market by signing him to be their starter?
Who else is there for him if they don't? If we assume that they've gone all the way down the path with Russell Wilson,
a draftable player, and they start.
Yeah,
and
where they're picking, they're in a pickle.
I don't know.
Let me give you one more though, because the New Orleans Saints and Mickey Loomis has said he expects Derek Carr to be the starter. If they're not settled on a contract for Derek Carr, if they want him to take a pay cut, I don't see that happening. There is still a chance, as of right now, that Derek Carr becomes free. So you have a team like maybe the Steelers, maybe the Titans. I mean, there are options out there for him. Unless the Saints get a deal done or keep him at his $40 million number right now, Carr could also be available. So this carousel is not quite settled just yet, guys. That is a good read.
Okay. So the Steelers are in a similar predicament with Fields that the Ravens are in with Stanley, right? We have till Monday. Steelers are going to have to make a decision. Do they want to lock up Fields before he can start talking to other teams on Monday? And the other voices that you heard on there, like Jeremiah was like, oh, the Jets will be right in there. They talk about the Saints, this and that. So they're going to have to make a decision. And then, who was it? Rich Eisen was like, well, they could draft one. And Jeremiah's like, who are they going to draft at the position that they're at? Because there's 2 top tier quarterbacks that everybody's talking about, and then a big drop off. I don't know. Is there another Patrick Mahomes waiting later in the second round? Maybe. I don't know. But Daniel Jeremiah certainly seemed incredulous. So we could be having another year where Justin Fields is their guy, and Bobby, that doesn't scare me.
Justin being under center in Pittsburgh doesn't scare you?
No.
Okay. It would, to me, it would more so than Russ.
Okay.
So what I wanted to mention, though, just from a Pittsburgh perspective, is
but does it scare you? Period. Does either one of them scare you?
No, not at this point, but I think Justin's so untapped. Like, I think that his potential is so untapped that it could evolve into that. Absolutely. With it being Pittsburgh, for sure. So think about what they've done at the position since Ben Roethlisberger. It's been a carousel. It's been a revolving door.
Yeah.
You've had names like Kenny Pickett, Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and then Russ and Justin in what became sort of like a who's going to start? Oh, wait, Russ gets the calf issue at the end of the summer. We're going to go with Justin. He leads you to 4-2 start. Then the big controversial decision, right, from Tomlin to go with Russ. And ultimately it gets him where? One and done. So to me, this is their best option. He was not utilized properly, nor was his ceiling anywhere near reached in Chicago. And so if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm building around Justin. And for the first time in what feels like forever, not having a bridge or a descending player who's at the tail of his future Hall of Fame career in Big Ben, right? Finally, you have somebody that you can build around. That's what I would do if I'm the Steelers.
Well, there's a what's the best option for us among the choices that are actually realistic? And then there's is this really going to compete? So I agree with the way you broke it down in terms of like, Russ versus Fields. Okay, I'm going to take Fields. He's younger. There's more untapped potential. Russell was good until it wasn't, as they said in the clip. And then you kind of like look in the draft and realize, hey, there's nothing we can really bank on when we're picking in the mid-20s. We'll probably still draft a quarterback at some point, but are they going to, in year one, be better than Justin Fields? Probably not. Is there a quarterback on the market that's going to be on the market, like a Aaron Rodgers or something else? Like, is that going to be better? So I hear you with what you're saying in terms of Fields being the best option, but as the opponent, and this doesn't mean that the Steelers overall aren't a good organization, and up until the Ravens beat them 2 times in a row, at the end of the season and then in the playoffs, they had the Ravens number, right? And I think that they did beat the Ravens with Fields earlier in the year. And so at the same time, he doesn't scare me. He as a quarterback doesn't scare me. The organization with a good defense, and maybe if they get a sweet running back that could play off of Fields, that could be something that makes the Steelers more formidable. But he doesn't scare me. And I'm with Warren Sharp on this, who tweeted the following after he did a long video on it. He says, things that will not go well long-term. Taking Justin Fields to a Lamar Jackson fight. Woof. Taking Justin Fields to a Joe Burrow fight. Woof. Taking Justin Fields to a Patrick Mahomes fight or a Josh Allen fight. Fields is QB1 in the AFC and AFC North equals treading water. I agree 100%. It may be their best option because another quarterback, they might be drowning. But with Fields, they are treading water. And I feel like the reason why the Steelers had beaten the Ravens was less about the quarterback play. I mean, some of those stats were kind of, taken out of context in terms of how many games Lamar had played against the Steelers, how many had sat out, or there were injuries or this and that. But they couldn't get him those last 2 games. It was more because Lamar had bad games against them rather than their quarterback outplaying Lamar. And so Lamar seemed to turn it on against the Steelers later on. Now, if Lamar has a bad game, can they win? Sure. But Justin Fields versus Lamar Jackson, when Lamar Jackson's playing his best, and he seemed to figure that out the last 2 games of the Steelers, not afraid of Justin Fields. Not afraid.
The Steelers weren't afraid from moving to Russ after 6 weeks, clearly. And I think when you look at that 6-game sample size of Justin, game manager, did what he had to do.
Treading water.
Not a ton of at this point in his early, for sure. And I get why you're not fearful. Well, you're not fearful of much, if anything at all. But I understand that because of what he's put on tape. They weren't asking a lot of him. And yes, they do need a running back, by the way, because Najee Harris is expected to leave. In free agency, and I wonder where he ends up.
And they could get one in the draft. Maybe not a quarterback, but they can get a running back.
They certainly could, and they need to help out if indeed this is the case. If Justin's going to be their guy moving forward. And so anyway, that 6-game sample size, what did we see from Justin? It was a game manager type role and not a lot of vertical shots. They did not have a big vertical passing attack. Pickens they were failing to get Pickens involved. And so, obviously once Russ got healthy, they moved to him in large part due to diversifying their passing offense. And that's an area that if Justin doesn't improve upon, then yes, I could see why, Ravens fans wouldn't exactly lose sleep prior to a Steelers contest. Although
I would lose sleep if they didn't have Ronnie Stanley there to help protect him against TJ Watt.
I was going to say,
right? Like that's a different conversation than we're having with who's at quarterback, though. So there's still respect here for the Steelers when they go, because you throw out records, all that kind of stuff. The Ravens and Steelers just have that rivalry going on. But on my top 5 threats to the Ravens when they play again, Justin Fields is not going to be in that top 5.
I was going to say, let's remind ourselves, not that we need it, that Pittsburgh won a game last year without scoring a touchdown. So sometimes against the Ravens, it doesn't matter who you have under center. It's about what you're doing in between the lines. And it's particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And we always can expect something strange and out of this world to happen on the special teams phase. But anyway, I think we're on the same page.
I don't think we are, but okay.
Of course you don't think we are.
Anyway, speaking of quarterbacks, we just talked about maybe an extension coming up. It's crazy how quickly the market moves. Lamar was just signed 2 years ago, and he was signed. He had the biggest, the largest money per year, an average salary. He was number 1 at the time he was signed. Now he's number 8 with that $52 million. So you got Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, and Justin Herbert, now all ahead of Lamar Jackson. So that's just crazy how quickly. By the way, Patrick Mahomes all the way down at number 12 with that $45 million per year figure. Meanwhile, you had tweeted this out, so I'm very curious about where your head's at. Right before the show started, the Raiders announced that, or Tom Pelissero reported that the Raiders informed quarterback Gardner Minshew will be released before the new league year begins on Wednesday. And what was your takeaway to this, Bobby?
I'll show you. I had a little bit of fun with this one. It just kind of came to my mind, and I said, if you can't beat them, sign them. With a little smirk face, and tag the Ravens. Just having a little bit of troll fun on this Wednesday. Obviously, Minshew has led 2 different teams into Baltimore to beat the Ravens within the last couple of years.
When they weren't even supposed to be in the conversation of winning.
There's no question. One of those wins for Vegas smacked Baltimore to an 0-2 start, which we all remember last year. And then the year prior, on a rain-soaked day in Baltimore, he led the Indianapolis Colts to a comeback victory against the Ravens. So just having a little bit of fun. Don't think he'd be the best fit, but let's give Gardner some respect where respect is due. He's got a lot of starts under his belt. I do believe he would be a serviceable backup, but I think there's better options out there for the Ravens.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Just sign him just so he doesn't upset you anymore, because how many times did we hear Ravens players, talk about later how they were like, we need to win early and we're supposed to win the games that we're supposed to win, because then that messes up home field advantage. And so they had to go and play up in Buffalo instead of in Baltimore for that divisional round game. And obviously having that home field advantage is big. So just sign him so he's not out there to upset you anymore. I'm here for that. Or let him sign with a team that is not on the Ravens schedule this year. So Gardner Minshew, what's crazy is he's only 28. I feel like he's been around forever. I feel like he's been haunting the Ravens, feels like for 2 decades now, with the way he upsets them. But perhaps, Bobby, there's a more realistic backup option. We talked about this yesterday, how Jeff Zrebiec was predicting that the Ravens will move on from Josh Johnson as the backup quarterback. And so they certainly could go into the draft and try to find somebody. But here's something interesting. So Trey Lance and the Dallas Cowboys are preparing for a split. And there was a time, what's his name? The Broncos reporter, Albright. What's his first name?
Benjamin.
Benjamin Albright had reported. Now, Benjamin's not like Ian and Adam Schefter, but he's also not like a Joe Schmo. Like, he definitely breaks news. And there was a time where he had said that the Ravens had spoken about a potential trade with Trey, all that kind of stuff. Nothing really developed. And I believe Albright was the only one reporting it, but people have been bringing up with Trey Lance likely to split with the Cowboys. So this Football Forever account says the Ravens attempted to trade for quarterback Trey Lance before he was dealt to Dallas, and now they'll have a chance to sign him as a free agent. Baltimore will be searching for a backup quarterback with veteran Josh Johnson entering free agency, and Lance could be a good fit behind Lamar Jackson. I could get behind this one.
I could too. Yeah. That makes a little bit more sense for them stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
Can't imagine that he's going to be. Gosh, do you remember what we had up yesterday? I just don't remember where he fell on that list that I had up from
Of
Spot
who's
Track.
being paid?
Yeah,
Okay, let me look. I'll get it for you.
I can do it too.
Okay.
Yeah, matter of fact, I have it right here. So let me just quickly do a screen share for us because I remember seeing him on there, and I don't remember him being in the top 10. Do you?
Well, he's not going to be when he's
No, not.
he's not going to be paid a lot as a backup.
Well, the bummer for him is that, in San Francisco, it was just such a crowded room when he was drafted. He was just going to wait for forever.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then he ends up in Dallas, of course, and we all remember the rest. All right, let me do a screen share with you. And by the way, just to give you some context to what happened earlier, those of you know I'm doing a remote month of March working down in Florida. There is a massive storm in St. Pete. All the power's off, and I'm on a hotspot right now. So just
is
bear
that what
with me.
happened to you?
Yeah. So
Can you zoom in on
anyway,
that? Do you know how to do that on my
Yeah.
Mac? It's a Command plus button. There you go.
Yeah. Let's
That
see.
helps.
Oh, wait a second now. Trey was making over 8.5 in Dallas
Oh, that's crazy talk.
in terms of average annual value. And some of that might have been, he's still on his rookie contract, isn't he? Man, because
Click on his name. It'll show you.
yeah, let's see. This is the first time we're looking into this, obviously, so you guys can
Yeah.
tell. And of course, everything's slow because I'm on a hotspot right now. So bear with me. We might have to make you do this.
Yeah, let me look it up just in case.
Here he is. Yeah, this is still
So-
his rookie deal
Well, he's going to be done now.
at the end of. Oh yeah, right.
This year,
It's
he's
coming
done.
down
So
to the- yeah.
he's an unrestricted free agent in 2025 right now.
So in other words, yeah, exactly. So in other words, that 8 number would not be accurate for his next deal.
Now when's the last time he started a game?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if he's come in on a spot job in Dallas, but he started.
But he hasn't been like a regular starter
No,
ever.
no.
Yeah. So I guess I'm asking because I'm like, what's his mindset going to be? Does he realize he's a backup? Or is he going to try to go for a starting position somewhere, even if it's like, I don't know, like a Steelers where maybe he might have a chance to compete?
Yeah, I would have thought he'd be humbled by now. Not that he needed to be. I don't know him, but guy's
Yeah.
24 years old. I mean,
He started once last year, and that's with Dak being injured.
yeah. And if you go
Yeah.
total, I mean, the guy's got 5 career starts under his belt. So I would think the writing's on the wall. But at the same time, look at Sam Darnold. You know, who's to say that Trey won't get an opportunity?
Sure. And that's what the market's gonna tell. But if Ben Albright was correct and the Ravens were interested, of course, come Monday they could give him a ring. Be like, where are you at?
Here's the difference, though. The big difference between Sam and Trey is that Sam had a lot more starts under his belt in New York, for better or for worse. I mean, it was a disastrous
exactly.
beginning of his career.
Yeah.
But at least Sam had the real-time reps, whereas Trey's barely been able to hold a backup position in this league.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be one to watch just because the Ravens are obviously in the backup quarterback market.
Absolutely, they are. This tweet, while we're talking about quarterbacks, cracked me up yesterday. So this ML football image was going around. Crazy stat! Josh Allen has beat every team besides the Eagles and Bills. And so Will, over at, is it the Zone 32 podcast?
I think
That was
so.
called? Zone 52, Zone 32. I want to get it right because I like those guys over there. They're funny. Anyway, so he quote retweets it and says, Lamar Jackson is 8 months younger than Josh Allen. The only team Lamar Jackson hasn't beat besides the Packers besides the Ravens, obviously, is the Packers. Important side note, Lamar Jackson has never played the Packers. He's beat every single team he's ever played against. So,
Will making sure his receipts are
there
kept.
we go. He's keeping those receipts. And meanwhile, Bobby, we said we would follow up on this. Davante Adams, of course, it being reported that he was going to be released by the New York Jets. The news first coming from, a lot of people, but Jeremy Fowler being credited in this one. By a lot of people. And then in this tweet, Jeremy Fowler had reported the 3 teams that Davante Adams is open to joining: Chargers, Rams, 49ers. No Ravens listed. Yeah,
Ravens not listed on this initial. Again, bolt up yo here, relaying Jeremy Fowler's reporting. 49ers obviously come to mind, being that Deebo Samuel is no longer in San Francisco. Rams are obviously on this list, which makes sense because Cooper Kupp is, something's imminent there that you'd expect him to be on his way out there via trade. And then the Chargers, they got Lab McConkey, who had a stellar rookie season for them. I'm sure they're looking for a compliment of him. So
they could use a veteran.
Yeah. If you look at the numbers, by the way, we were kind of just talking off the cuff yesterday when this release news came down. For 2 different teams and all the turmoil and all the different quarterback carousels and coach firings and everything that took place with the 2 organizations that Davante played for last year, he still put up over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. I mean, the guy's still got it. He's I keep referring to him as like a technician's technician because his route running is so elite. He can play outside. He can play some slot for you. He obviously is one of the game's greats. He's a true X, and he's going to make any team better. He is 32, but I'm telling you, he can still separate. He can still come down with the football. He can still beat you in coverage, and so he's going to make somebody better. The Ravens aren't on this initial list.
This initial list, which also is interesting, already has their quarterbacks established. So all of the, there's been so much talk that he might follow Aaron Rodgers again. Well, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to any of those 3 teams. Not happening. And I don't know where Aaron is going to wind up, but the teams that would take him are certainly not considered Super Bowl contenders right now.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
He's going to have to decide what he wants.
Yeah. Those that are writing him off just because it wasn't one of his all-pro seasons. Again, 2 different organizations, over 1,000 total yards, 8 touchdowns in the midst of pure turmoil. So one of which was where he spent the majority of his season, which we all know what happened in Vegas.
Right. Bobby, him joining any of these 3 teams wouldn't really bother me because 2 of them are in the NFC. And the 3rd one has Greg Roman.
Oh, G-Ro catching strays from you today. But
that wasn't a stray. That was a direct aim.
Thank you for clarifying. Amazing.
No, he's great, obviously, with the run, but we've seen him with receivers in the passing game.
Well, hey, let me add on to this while we're talking about wide receiver, because as you expected, you're not going to be surprised by this. 2 pieces of news came down while we were live, and that's just how it is this time of year.
Yeah.
So 2 veterans are going to be added to the wide receiver market. You've got Jacksonville reportedly set to release Christian Kirk. He's just 28. Let's see. He averaged over 60 catches per year while playing for Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona for 3 seasons. He's been in Jacksonville for the last several. And then Tyler Lockett, another veteran set to be released, it looks like, by Seattle. So,
well, Christian Kirk can play, but he's that 5'11", 200-pound guy. We're looking for a bigger body, right, to complement what's already on here on the Ravens roster. But yeah, 27 catches, 379 yards last year. Played in 8 games. Looks like he may have been injured. So there's that. And then who was the other person, did you say?
Tyler Lockett.
Let's look up his production from last year as I look him up.
A little bit older, a little bit more experienced, would fit that Nelson Aguilar role.
He's also 5'10", 182. Played all 17 games, just under 50 receptions, 600 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, neither one of these players, measurement-wise, are the complement that we're looking for when it comes to, bigger body. But both productive, both set to hit what's become a pretty saturated veteran wide receiver market. Ravens may have a chance of bringing somebody in here. I can't imagine it's high on their priority list, though. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a second, third type week thing, and once free agency begins.
Absolutely. But the more wide receivers out there, the better. It drives prices down. And while we're talking about wide receivers, we were talking about, I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday where Dov had brought in somebody else's top 10 quarterbacks list, and then they had Lamar number 1, but they had him at a San Francisco 49er. So that was funny. But here's who they have as the top 10 wide receivers. You tell me if any Ravens wide receivers should be in this top 10, and if Adams maybe should crack it since he was released and we've been talking about him. So they got agreed. Jamar Chase, number 1, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua all the way at number 3 already, who did have a sensational year. Number 4, A.J. Brown. 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Number 6, Terry McLaurin. 7, Nico Collins. 8, C.D. Lamb. 9, T. Higgins. And 10, Brian Thomas Jr. Should the Ravens get any consideration in here?
Brian Thomas Jr. is a young player. He sneaks his way in here. Davante should definitely be on this list. And Zay, I'm comfortable with him being on the outside. He's got more to prove, and coming off a great year. There's no doubt about it. But there's a lot of alphas on this list. Not that Zay isn't an alpha. I think everybody is at the NFL level, but there's a lot of true number ones on this that would be number ones on any team league wide, and I don't know if Zay is exactly that.
Yeah, I feel like I could get him in here somehow. I feel like I can maybe get him in here.
Evan, put Davante on this list. Are you kidding?
Get it on there.
Oh man, what is up with the Davante? Not disrespect, but Davante afterthought. People are. I don't get it. Don't get it.
He's still. I mean, again, I don't think he is. Again, peak Davante. I mean, he's 31, but I think he probably still sees himself as wide receiver 1. I mean, he's over 1,000.
Evan's referring to him as Unk.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in NFL years, he's the OG, but sometimes the OG's the baddest in the yard.
That's true. Well, look at this news over from the Bengals.
Yeah,
Sam Hubbard. Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Announced retirement, defensive end, Cincy. Notable for a couple different reasons. Yes, most recently. We all know most recently. Let's stick with the most recent rather than probably the most notable that made his highlight tape that the Bengals posted about. But most recently, yes, he was on the wrong end of the Lamar Jackson ragdoll play, which was one of the all-time Lamar plays. But he got the last laugh several years ago at the goal line. We all remember what took place
against Tyler Huntley.
Yes. So
listen, and that was in the playoffs. That was brutal. Not that there weren't super high expectations since the Ravens had already lost Lamar Jackson. And they were limping into the playoffs because Lamar had gotten them so far. And then Tyler Huntley extended on the quarterback sneak. Hubbard returns it. So whatever. I don't think the Ravens are going to go far in the postseason anyway. And he did it against the backup. But I will choose to always remember him on his knees with his head down like this after Lamar stiff-armed him to the ground. And then threw a touchdown to Isaiah Likely in the air going out of bounds.
All-time
I'm
stuff.
so glad Lamar got that in before he retired. That was great.
All-time stuff that will be viewed and included in his Canton highlight reel for sure. But congratulations to Sam on his retirement.
But you know what? The Bengals defense was already bad. This is not making them better. And they have to put all their money into 3 people, which is Burrow, Higgins, and Jamar Chase. And they've had those guys already on the cheap because they had them all on their rookie deals for a couple years. And so they paid Burrow. They're now franchise tagged Higgins, and they're going to pay Chase. So it's going to be tough to put a Super Bowl winning team around those 3 when, they didn't do it when all 3 of them were on their rookie contracts. So
to be Joe Burrow right now, a lot of questions rather than answers. And we haven't even, that's not even figuring out how to, yes, you got to retain these players and whatnot, but how do we fix our defense? That was the sole reason why we didn't make it to the postseason.
Well,
Super
you better
Chats.
draft well because you're not going to be paying them after you pay those 3.
Nope.
So
Adit checks in. If the price is right, recently cut Tyler Lockett fits, which we just discussed, set to be released by Seattle and Nuno.
3 more years and $150 million to Lamar. He already has a bag. Can he give the Ravens a discount? We need the money to keep other stars.
Dreams, a.k.a. Queon, says Justin Fields or Trey Lance as QB2, scheme-wise.
For the Ravens?
Justin ain't signing up for any QB2 in Baltimore.
No, I would
Trey?
love that, though. I would love Justin Fields to be a backup in Baltimore, but that's not happening.
But Trey Lance, that's the one that we spent a couple minutes on earlier in the show.
But I think he is specifically saying not who's going to be available, who would be better. But I would take Justin. Truth Bearer said there's no Greg Roman's taking 2 shots today inside the vault. Sam Hubbard got Greg Roman fired, so he's really the MVP.
Tough crowd here. Let's see. We have a new channel member, Patrick York, who's also one of our patrons as well. So
wow.
He's double dipping. Appreciate you, Patrick. Thanks for being involved. We'll go just in a second and we'll show you how to join because we've gotten some comments about how you do so. Let's give our patrons some shout out love before we continue the conversation.
Hold on here. Can I give you this news?
Sure.
Here, let me present my screen so we get it live. Here we go. Share. Let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. Looky. Tom Pelissero. Boy, we're all going to be, you know what? Dreams are never bigger in Baltimore than the week before free agency because that's when cut casualties are happening. And it's like, ooh, Davante Adams. Ooh, DK Metcalf. Ooh, Justin Fields. Ooh, you know what I mean? So here we are. 2-time Pro Bowl wide receiver DK Metcalf has requested a trade. And the Seahawks have agreed to explore options, sources tell me in Ian Rappaport. Days before free agency, the 27-year-old Metcalf immediately becomes the top receiver available. Remember we were just saying how the Ravens need a big body to complement what they have? Could you imagine DK and Zay and Rashad walking on the field together? Woo-hoo-hoo! Okay, hold on a second.
You know what the non-negotiable is here, right? The obligatory Ravens could have had him in the draft, but they went with Marquise Brown instead.
Oh, yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
Sure. We're just stirring the pot here. Let's name everybody that the Ravens passed over.
Oops.
In the draft. Okay, hold on real quick, though. Let's look up what DK Metcalf is being paid right now, because if he wants traded, he's not going to be like cut pretty soon if he's the one requesting a trade. So let me see.
While you do that, we'll get our patrons in. How's that?
Sounds wonderful.
We'll shout out Jimmy Rice and Richard Harris. Thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate the support that you guys give us through Patreon. If you guys are interested in doing the same, this is Jimmy and Richard's monthly shout out. You can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast if you're interested in joining that community. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Richard.
His base salary for 2025 is $18 million. Hey, it's not a Davante Adams 30, whatever he was, $36 million, something crazy like that. But again, the team that trades for him is probably going to want to do an extension. So If you do an extension, that probably wouldn't be the number. But that's what it is, 18 million.
You can file
18
this
million.
under Fantasyland. File it.
The way you said it. The way you said it. Ooh, what I like, part of my brain, even though I know the money's not there, it's like, okay, Mark Andrews is being paid. I think it's 17 million on the cap, but that's not what his base is. The Ravens would save about 11 to 12 million by trading him. Ooh, what if you traded with Mark Andrews, become some of that trade bait though? Are we as in fantasy land, or is it less fantasy land?
No comment. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine him in the Ravens wide receiver? Just put the cap aside for a second, business wise.
Dude, because here's the thing.
He's
Like,
such a problem, man.
because then Todd Monken is doing more 13 personnel, right? Rather than he'll have, 11 personnel instead of the 12 personnel. And so DK becomes that big dude. And then you have Isaiah Likely. So those are like your tight end type bodies, but obviously DK is a receiver. Oh, baby.
DK wants 20 targets a game. Sorry, Zay. Sorry, Bait. You guys just sit out there as eye candy.
No, don't say that. What do you mean?
Man.
No, don't put it that way. He'd be the type of guy that would like it's the tide that elevates all the ships, all the boats, right? You cannot make the argument. I hope that's not your argument that you don't bring in DK because then you don't use Zay.
No, that's not the argument. I'm talking about DK ain't going to a situation where he's not the guy. You want him to come in and be the guy in Baltimore? I could hear that for sure.
What do you mean? The guy's like the wide receiver one?
Heck yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that doesn't mean
now
that
we're talking.
Well, that doesn't mean that Zay's not gonna get the ball.
No.
Is he gonna? I'll put it this way: how many targets did Mark Andrews get, and how much did DK get last year? Oh, look it up.
Yeah. Well,
Here, you look up Mark Andrews.
Well, I got Andrews.
Go ahead, dude. You got Andrews? Okay, I'll go to DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf. PFR. They're always good with the targets. All right. Let's see.
Andrews is 69.
He had 69 targets last year. All right, DK had a few more. All right, DK had a few more. He had 108.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. And hey, he commands that. I'm just this is fantasy world at its finest.
Well, that's where we are. We're in the week before.
Yeah.
We're in the week before free agency, where all dreams seem attainable.
Dreams, where are you at? Queon, measure the how far we are up in dreamland. Hey, yeah, you're right though. It's that time of year. It'll happen more.
Listen, it's not going to happen. It was just more when you were like, oh, well, yeah, Zay won't get the ball or whatever. And I'm like, no, he will. You can't be afraid of more weapons. I guess that's it's a pet peeve of mine where it's like, oh, you can't have this guy because what about this guy? Well, compete. Make each other better.
Yeah, but there's no
like we saw what Lamar and Derek did for each other. They both had career years.
But he's the type that, I mean, he completely takes over your entire offense. Like the offense runs through him.
Yeah, but if you're winning, it solves a lot of that.
You would think.
And remind me who was playing on what were the other weapons in Seattle?
Oh, I'd have to go back and look at their roster from this past year. I mean, clearly Lockett, he's just been released, but he's
the same as
Yeah, no, certainly not. But who was their wide receiver too, chat? I didn't follow much of Seattle. They weren't on Baltimore's
let me see here what they got roster
schedule. But Mike McDonald making some moves. Ran into Mike Mack, by the way, in Indy last year. He's great.
Tyler
last
Lockett
week
was the other big one. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce some of
Oh,
these
the rookie.
names.
The rookie. Yeah, that's right. Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's a beast.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot about him. He had a great year.
Yeah.
That dude. Don't sleep on him. He's a beast.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, Jackson Smith. And but let's see how many targets he had. Oh, he had a ton of targets too.
Oh, he was a beast for them. Yeah. They'll build around him if
He had 100 yards, 100 receptions, 1130 yards.
they must love him if they're willing to listen for DK.
All right.
DK's a lot, man. He's a lot to
No,
deal
I hear
with,
what
but
you're
he's
saying.
a heck of
Yep.
a talent. That dude's a specimen. Friggin' specimen. Ravens could have had him a few years ago.
You did it again.
Let's get out of here. And we saw a couple comments of those of you asking, I think Cameron was one of them, how to join, meaning this new memberships feature that we're rolling out. So let's just do a quick little screen share so you guys can. And honestly, don't know whether or not you have to be like whether it's a mobile option or if you have to be behind a desktop. So let us know. But all I know is I'm on a desktop right now. And if you just go over to our live stream and you click join, which is right next to the subscribe button, it'll take you to our different tiers. And again, this is ways for you to become more involved with the channel. There's membership perks that come along with this involvement. It's a way of supporting the channel, of course. And there's 3 different tiers. So if you're just tuning in, by the way, we made an executive decision after lots of deliberations.
Mhm.
You are now being described as and referred to as Voltrons. We hope you'll love it. We hope you'll embrace it. That's our new nickname for our audience. And for $4.99 a month, you can sign up to support the channel for all of this in return. Loyalty badges next to your name in the comment section in the live chat, custom emojis to use in the comments and live chat, members only live chats, which we'll have more information on, members only polls, so on and so forth. And again, that's just the first of 3 tiers. And I'll let you guys kind of peruse through here and see if you're interested in getting involved.
And Bobby, on mobile, I'll double check this, but there may not be an option on mobile. Like I just pulled up the mobile and I see the subscribe button. I'm seeing a notification button, but I am not seeing a join button. So you may have to go to desktop. We'll look into that to see if there is an option, but right now there's not one for me on mobile either.
Okay.
Mhm.
Multiple people are saying they found out how to do it on their phone. So
Oh,
Anwar
okay.
and Matt, others clearly have had some success. So if you guys want to hit the chat and educate us and everyone else, Troy saying that he did it from his phone as well. We'd appreciate that, guys. And I'm getting yelled at for not being in dark mode. So maybe I'll switch that.
You should.
I am in dark mode on
had this
several other.
discussion.
We have.
Yeah.
You and I, from a logistical standpoint, have gone back and forth on this. I've switched over on Twitter. I've switched over on what else did you make me switch over on? Slides, Google Slides.
Slides. We
I like
definitely slides. Yeah.
I like it. So
So Dreams is saying that you have to click on the page on the mobile. So you got to go to the actual page. More. Yeah.
David says you have to go through the browser and change it to desktop view to sign up. That's probably
yeah, because I'm still not seeing it in the app even when I go to the page.
That's probably a good
It might be people who are in the app that don't see it because I don't see it in the app.
Sure.
So
thanks, David. Appreciate it. And appreciate everybody that signed up. I think we have like 6 or 7 new members now. And we've heard this feedback from you for months now. And it was on our docket. We wanted to give it the time that it deserved to kind of, sift through and have a conversation, offline between the two of us. And that's what we did yesterday to kind of get this thing finalized. Thanks to all the work you put in, Sarah, for getting it across the finish line. And thanks to all of our new members who just signed up. And we're getting a lot of our inspiration from our friend Jake Asman, who has built up an incredible Jets following on his YouTube channel. And what's cool about his subscription base is that they gift each other channel memberships, and it kind of starts to grow organically that way. So maybe we'll come up with some ideas for how to get you guys more involved and let us know if you have any feedback in terms of what our tier levels are, if you think there's ways to tweak, add, adjust, subtract, you name it. We're always all ears.
Absolutely. So just one last time, at least for now, we know for sure we'll look into it. But if you aren't seeing it on your app or your phone, go to your desktop. The join button should be right next to the subscribe button.
Awesome.
So
fantastic. We appreciate you guys. Yeah.
By the way, once I think we just need to get like 8 members, which we may have gotten today, and then I can put more emojis in.
Nice.
Right now they only allowed 4.
Let's go. Add up the emojis. They're ready to go. So, well, hang tight, guys. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of different things that we'll be reacting to over the course of the next, 48 plus hours, and including into next week for sure. So until then, we'll catch up with you. And Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, under 23 hours from right now. We look forward to that. Please like the video if you haven't already done so on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. And if you haven't already, check out our best of playlist where we condense these hour-plus long streams into 15 to 20-minute segments for those of you who like to consume shorter content, depending on what your days look like. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We'll catch up with you on Thursday. And as always, Vaultrons, thanks for joining us here inside the Vault. Talk soon.